to start.
On behalf of the Site's USA chapter, I wanted to thank you for joining us today. I'm Stan Hurst now, and I'm the current president of this chapter. This webinar session is the final installment of a trilogy of sessions. Hopefully many of you were able to join us for the first two sessions, where it was the hotel planner relationship and the DMC planner relationships. Today, diving into the relationship between both cruise and airline providers and the today's format. We've got a series of questions that we believe will spark some dialogue and provide some insight that will to all of us. We do have it on mute to control any background noise. However, the session, please feel free to use the Q&A box to submit a question. Before I get Jim Adams, our chapter's Vice President of Education, to introduce today's session and our panel, I wanted to extend a special thank you to our sponsors for today's webinar, Eco Destination Management Services and Hello Destination Management. We truly appreciate your support of the chapter, and we look forward to hearing more about your respective organizations during our sponsor later in the session. Special bonus for today's webinar, Melia Kalinowski with Airlines, one of our panelists, has graciously donated 2 round-trip coach class tickets between Chicago's O'Hare International Airport and Panama City, Panama. So at the session, we'll be using an online random name picker to select a lucky winner, and especially thanks to Julietta and Copa Airlines for this wonderful offer. Not least, I did want to remind everyone of our Happy Hour networking event at IMEX next month. You should have an invitation via email, but if not, you can find those details on our website at www.sitemidwestusa.com. There's no planners and a nominal charge for suppliers. We anticipate a great turnout for the second annual event. We hope to see many of you there on Tuesday, October 18th. All right, I think that's it from my end. I'll turn it over to you to get things started. Thanks, everyone, for joining us.
And thanks, everyone, for joining, and welcome to the Site Midwest USA Open Forum Educational Webinar. This is part 3, as Stan said, about making the most of the cruise and airline and client relationship. Stan's already thanked our sponsors. I'll let that go, and we'll hear from them later. Next slide, the webinar is designed to cover the 3 key aspects of the cruise, airline, and client relationship. This is going to focus on the RFP process, followed by ROI in part 2. We're going to wrap up with creativity through an open forum, where we're going to hear from our distinguished guest speakers, who I have the privilege of introducing to you now. Our first presenter is Michael Beal. Mike is president of the Beal Travel Group. Mike has more than 30 years in the incentive and cruise industries. He started with Merritt's in 1982, a long time ago. He then moved into the cruise industry in 1985 with Norwegian Cruise Lines. Since then, Mike has worked in sales and senior sales management positions, specializing in incentives and charters with notable cruise companies such as Premier, Windstar, Renaissance, and Viking River Cruises. He now operates Beal Travel Group, a cruise sales representation and consulting company. He's the direct sales representative for a variety of river, yacht, and small ship cruise lines, including Avalon Waterways, Alaska Dream Cruises, the Mooring Australia's Cape Horn, and Patagonia Cruises. And I'm pleased to say Mike is a supplier to Performance Strategies, and we are friends. Next up with us is Julietta Kalinowski. She's account executive with Copa Airlines. She began her career at American Airlines and Lufthansa in Bogota in 2001. She joined Copa Airlines in Chicago in 2012. Provide marketing and sales to target market accounts in the Midwest, including meeting and incentive groups and travel agencies. Bring brand awareness to the Midwest and cultivating recognition for Copa as a world-class airline is for Julietta. and she plays an active part in the regional marketing campaign for the airline. And she is the gracious giving 2 tickets from Chicago to Panama. And our president, Stan, said that there was going to be at the end. Make this interesting. A random pick during our presentations to the end. And everyone who's online then, you're eligible if you're a site member, and we will call your name, and hopefully you'll be online and answer. So we have to call the next person's name. Finally, and he might be joining us just a little bit late, is Mueller, Director of Charters, Meetings, and Incentives. Speak to you when he joins us, but he's a 24-year veteran in the hospitality industry. Most of his career, he's enjoyed working in the cruise industry. He had experience working in hotels, resorts, and charter air. His career really started when he did his homework in his grandfather's office at a hotel in Venezuela. His reality started at Celebrity and Fantasy Cruises and Reservations. With a taste of the corporate incentive market, and has been involved in this market ever since. Most recently, before his current job, he served as Director of Corporate Incentive Sales for Silver Sea Cruises. He's got over 22 years in the MICE market. Through sales and operations experience with North American and international clientele and programs. He was born in Venezuela. He's Spanish, was actively involved in growing the corporate incentive and full ship charter business throughout Central and South America. His dedication to this interest has placed him on the board of directors for Site Florida for over years. On behalf of Site Midwest and our board, I want to thank each of you again for your dedication to our local chapter. So start with the RFP process. Our previous sessions, we laugh because we know you get RFPs on a napkin, and we know you get 165-page RFPs that have to be interpreted through your legal team just to answer. But we're talking about, as a general rule of thumb, with incentive employers, the development delivery, a timetable for an RFP to contract. Start with Mike Beal. How much lead time do cruise lines prefer from planners, and what's standard response time?
In this regard, Jim, cruises, generally speaking, for my incentive group and charter clients, anything outside of a year is best. I think other cruise lines would agree that once the cruises are open for sale in individual reservations, it becomes difficult to acquire space. For instance, Avalon is an example. We're selling now heavily into 2018 and even getting requests for 2019. Get requests for 2017. The difference there is that most of the sailings have sufficient occupancy that I'm not going to be able to offer for an exclusive full ship charter, although there are group opportunities. So I guess the bottom line is the further out, the better.
Okay. Either presenters want to say anything on that?
This is Freddie. I was able to make the call. Thank you, everyone. I do agree completely with Mike, and Mike and I have worked together and obviously have been industry colleagues for many, many years. And, you know, the general rule of thumb is anywhere between 12 to 18 months is the minimum lead time for any kind of a full ship charter. Depending on group sizes and ship sizes, you know, groups can be accommodated in a closer range. If you want something exclusive and a charter capacity, definitely at least probably to 18 months.
Great. So now to Julietta. Julietta, what concessions or services do you offer to increase loyalty from meeting planners?
Hello, everybody. So we have discounts for participants and companions in all corporate in all work, group discounts and complimentary tour conductors, be able to travel between 5 days before and after the event, also discounts between 50 and 70% for exhibitors or main organizers of the event. Free inspection tickets. Also, they have the possibility to earn miles, Connect Miles, which is our mileage program. Free advertisement of the event in the airplane magazine is called Panorama de las Americas. Airplane, so we have like a calendar, and people can see the event if they want to, make some. And flexibility agent who is a the specific program for this account for the planner.
For those of you not familiar with COPA, the big supporter of SITE for a number of years, their flights go down to Panama and then out to the Caribbean and South America. So they're the Atlanta hub of America. The added value of cruising for incentives as well as meeting and events, Freddie? Can you address
always shown a tremendous value when compared to a comparable hotel or resort stay. On an average 5 to 7 night program, or to really just keeping the length of programs equal. And value can be anywhere between 30 to 40%. And that's the all-inclusiveness that you might find on any given cruise line. Cruise lines in general, and this can go anywhere from the contemporary market to the ultra-luxury, such as meals, entertainment, negotiate welcome receptions and farewell receptions, turn lists. And when you get into the more premium ultra-luxury lines, you have anywhere from your alcoholic to your fine wines and spirits, and even to some of your shore excursions included. So if you have a comparison on what you might not pay in a resort stay compared to what might be included on a cruise ship, it is an average of almost 30 to 40% savings.
Julia, how can a meeting planner help expedite the proposal process with you?
It's very important to meet with the sales representative of your airline once you're ready to prepare the program. I understand that meeting planners are able to prepare in advance, but what the guys were saying before, about 18 months, if they have already an idea of where the destination could be, it doesn't matter what destination will be, as long as the sales rep or the account manager knows exactly the date or similar time. So it's important to prepare ahead, because this permits provide the best benefits and talk about guidelines and procedures, allowing the planner to determine which way is the most beneficial for the program. Either they will quote or pay anything, but at least they know the guidelines and procedures, so they go ahead with the entire plan more efficiently. So I think that's the most important thing.
And Julia, what numbers constitute a group for you? How many people do we have to have on your airline to be such wonderful benefits you've explained to us?
We have 2 programs that we are able to offer. So the first one are the groups. It's 10 people minimum. And for every 10 pay, you have free tour conductor. And the second one is a discount code. With the discount code, we need a minimum of 20 participants, and we provide between 10 and 20% of discount. Depends on the season, depends on the amount of participants for that specific program, and that's upon a fare. So that's what we need. But it could go over.
I'm going to start with you on Mike and then come back to Julietta. How are you structured internally with your companies you represent? sales team separate from the operations team? Are there account managers that you turn things over to, or account managers that handle all aspects of a program? You a single point of contact for your groups? Tell us a little bit about how Beal Travel Group's set up with those lines you represent.
For the most part, the companies that I represent are small ship cruise companies, like we said, yacht and small ships. So they tend to be privately held. They're not publicly traded companies. They don't have extensive infrastructure in the side of the business, and sometimes in the sales side. That's what I do, is I give them access and entree to the incentive and MICE markets. Most of them have sales departments, but they're usually small. There's a vice president or director of sales, maybe a couple of few sales people who call agents, but they haven't really focused on the incentive market. I'm happy to say that, my efforts are yielding some fruit for these companies. Basically, I'm the point of contact. The Beal Travel Group is really transparent. I work as the direct rep for the companies that you mentioned earlier. So they would contact me. I would put the proposal together. I work with the internal structure of the company in sales to get the pricing and the proposal information, all the details, send the proposal and handle it all the way through contracting. And almost the board, every one of the companies I deal with, after the group is contracted, I get involved at arm's length just to kind of manage the incentive company in their relationship and liaison with the cruise line. But they have internal operations, all the companies. They're actually quite good, and because remember, we're talking about groups of 10 up to 150 couples, that sort of thing. There can be back-to-backs, but for a small organization, these are small organizations, I tend to facilitate probably 75%, which is convenient because they're not getting tossed back and forth to different people once they get the proposal. And Jim, I add something really quick earlier as far as the RFP, and Freddie might have a comment here as well. It's important for planners to note that with cruise, at least the small, we just hold space, even though there's a proposal outstanding. We don't hold space until there's a contract or a deposit, or in case with the relationships have an email or a verbal confirmation that this is going to contract. The inventory is such, unlike hotels with thousands of rooms, that we can't hold commitment for long periods of time. So instead, what the companies have are first options on the base, as long as it's still available, even though it might be for sale in individual reservations. That's 12 to 18 months out that Freddie mentioned is important, because generally speaking, once the tour comes out to the retail and individual travel markets, all those dates are open for sale. So it's important to know that a proposal does not generally mean, in my case, with small ships, that it's actually holding any space. So I think that's
here there. Mike, thank you so much for that. And I would like to address also for the airline how we manage. And every airline works a little bit similar. The times are a little bit different, but it's in general for all the airlines. So what we do with that, thank you, Mike, for saying that. Very for that. So when the person, the planner, will manage the group staff, we send the quote. We will do it through the inside sales that I will explain in a minute with the question here. But the inside sales will quote the group, and we'll have about 5 days to confirm that they like the fare. Once with the fare, we will block the seat, not before. So if there's a risk also that the fare change, they confirm the same day, we will have about 2 weeks to deposits of $75 per person. So time frame, and only 30 days prior to the departure time, they will pay off the rest of the ticket. So the fee. So thank you.
Okay, then, are you single point of contact, or do you turn somebody like Susan on my team over to your operations team?
I'm the contact. So I'm in charge of the handle all the contracting and negotiations. And we are divided also by territories. So account manager in the West Coast, East Coast, Southeast, Midwest, they have this sales team, and they manage negotiation and contracting. Once the planner is agreed to work with COPA, they will pass over the operational part, our regional office, which is located in Miami, and we have inside sales, about 6 inside sales, and one of them will be responsible for all the operational part, reservations, ticketing, seat assignments, documentation, etc. But of course, just like Mike, I will oversee from A to Z all the process. So I will be copying those emails as well. So always be there and jump in if something goes wrong. If they need me for a specific requirement, then I will go and take over.
Okay, thank you, Julietta. Freddie, you've most recently had experience with NCL. How does a big multi-line public company like that, how are they set up? Are you a single point of contact? Do you turn people over to operations, account managers? How does that work for a company like NCL?
So some of the larger cruise lines, such as Norwegian Cruise Lines, Caribbean Carnival, they have dedicated teams to corporate meetings and incentive market. Just like similar to the hotel side, you will start off with a point of contact on the sales side that obviously will manage your RFP, proposals, and lead up all the way up to the contract stage. Once the contract has been executed, teams also have dedicated operations, whether it be charter sales managers that handle full ship charters, to stuff that handles just groups, meaning that it's not exclusive of JEP. But these only handle actually just the MICE market. So they understand the lingo. They understand the needs of cocktail receptions, in groups, audio visual, turn down gifts, receiving names much closer to departure than I receive in the individual reservations world. So some of the larger cruise lines with a little bit more infrastructure, those have dedicated teams for the corporate media and incentive market.
Okay, thank you. Now, creating the perfect RFP, the essence of any initial proposal request. My necessary elements required to produce a strong RFP.
Side, and again, we have Freddie representing the larger cruise. On the smaller side, I'll get RFPs that are designed specifically for hotels. It's always helpful if the planner can take the standard format hotel RFP and whittle down based on what their knowledge may be of what cruising can offer. For instance, there's RFP. There's a lot of information usually requested about meeting space and breakouts and that sort of thing. On the cruise company that they're looking at, it's not untypical that lounge are used for meeting rooms and different general spaces on the ship are used. We don't generally have extensive AV on the big ships. I know that's different. The key for me is give me a date range. Number is obviously critical. I don't usually see budgets in RFPs. That's always very helpful as well. It can save us all a lot of time and energy if we knew that we were in the ballpark based on what the client's looking for. So need as much information as a hotel might need because so much is included as well. Like Freddie mentioned, meals, entertainment, in some cases tours and beverages are included. So, I get and develop the best informational proposal. Many times some of the boxes that are checked for a hotel request are not the same as what we're going to be able to respond to. We'll come up with things to any request challenges that might arise.
Just to Mike mentioned, these RFPs, and we have received RFPs where they're saying that base that particular format, but it doesn't really necessarily work for the cruise side of things. And even kind of to what Mike mentioned, understanding the budgets but also when the budgets are provided, is that we're not just looking for the room night budget. We're looking for the budget that would include you have in the line item for cocktail receptions, for minimum of 3 meals a day, sometimes including, beverages and all the amenities that we discussed earlier. And one of the things that we forgot to mention earlier, even with the added values, is audiovisual. Even if it is a simple LCD screen, microphone, if it's on board the ship and it can be moved, it's in. So some things that really have some strong added values. So when budgets are put in the RFP, that is taken into consideration.
So what information is most beneficial for you when sourcing a potential client or pro?
Well, it's very important that the planner has interest to either explore or come back to one of our 73 destinations we offer within the area, and be eager to learn the best of each one to catch the planner's attention. From there, how we manage, how can we offer? Because sometimes what happens is that the perspective or there's a perception that Latin America is the same for planners that they've never been there. So that's the reason why we provide normally the negotiation benefits for them, so they can transfer to their final client. If the final client is not interested to that destination, it's because sometimes the planner is not even knowledgeable about it. So if the planner is open and they allow us to present each country, that's the best way to start, because some destinations have more benefits than other ones, more discounts than other ones, more service than other ones. So it's like combined. So it's very important for them to be a little bit open and understand that every country is different. So I think that's the main to start a big process and understand each other in the best way.
Planners listening, Copa Airlines has a wonderful website where you click a destination on their potential flight. It gives all sorts of ground deals, information within that. So it's a nice tool to have compared to the other airlines. And Julietta, one last question before we take a quick break. What are some hang-ups that experience between what planners want you to do as an airline and their on-site staff are comfortable delivering? Okay, sorry.
No, I was talking by myself. I'm sorry. So the outreach is one of the most common ones, since our policy is to comply. And every airline works different in this matter. Some of them because they have bigger airplanes, and some of them because they have smaller airplanes. So the policies change. So planners, they always will ask if we provide discounts, upgrades, and things like that. And we actually don't deliver, but we don't say, we have to be clear from the beginning. We deliver upgrades when we have discounts like this or the conventions discount that we provide. So it's a little bit frustrated, but at the end we said we have other services that maybe will compensate a little bit, like we provide entrance to the Copa Club in Panama when they're connecting, if they go to for a connection or something like that, and then the team in Miami, which is the inside sales, when they take over the operational part, they will deliver what they say they're going to deliver. They will work hard and they do the best to provide the seats they want, seat the couples together, because it's one of the requirements that sometimes everybody forgets about those small details. So we try to get the small details to make it the best, so the program will be a success.
Great. And now a word from, thanks everybody. We're going to hear from one of our sponsors for this webinar. Gino Cruez is the Senior Sales Manager for Eco Destination Management Services and Curacao, and he has a brief presentation for us. Sir Gino, I'm going to turn it over to you now.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm going to present about two Dutch islands in the Dutch Caribbean, Aruba and Curacao. Aruba and Curacao both are very close of each other. They both have Dutch roots, so you will see a lot of Dutch roots on the island. People living on both islands speak the language, when are good move actually to the first language when we're dealing with the guests and visitors from North America and South America. And location-wise, both of the islands are located outside of the hurricane belt. So that makes it really efficient indeed when you're working with groups, when you have certain budgets and you say you need to be very aware of budgeting. You can get very good deals in the low season with this, which is normally from June until December. See, we're going to see a few slides. You're able to see it. Both of them are desert types of islands, so it is very strange. You will see a lot of cacti. You will see the water coming in from the Atlantic Ocean, which offers the guest a good balance of being able doing some off-roading, ATV, UTV tours. So you have a nice balance between the land activities and the water activities to create that amazing contrast. What is also very nice about the islands, both islands, because they're small, we have between 130 to 160,000 people living on the island, on each island. You have easy access. So most of the time we create our final lines, we create a wall celebrations in the city center, in the main street, or in the natural park, national park, or at the rock formation, which creates a very nice ambience. We understand that as you're sourcing for destinations, you are looking into destinations that are very creative, or they have the switch of converting a location to a very nice setting to create that nice event, and that is something you can do at both of the islands. Let me see. We're going to the other side. You're able to see at the second slide a little bit of our waters. A very nice white beach with the water from the Caribbean Sea, which is the exact contrast. Both islands, they have water. A part connected to the water from the Atlantic Ocean, the other part the water connected from that Caribbean Sea. So very nice spots to do snorkeling, scuba diving, to do windsurfing, because we have the trade winds coming in, and then it's all about how can we change that experience. So we understand catamaran is something we're able to do in multiple destinations. So we always try to enhance, like for example, the snorkel cell. Currently, we're able to put a scuba tank on board, so we're able to, or are able to do the cross combination between scuba and snorkeling while they're on board, without having to go to the certification or the resort course. Things we're looking into the future to enhance the experience will be to add like snorkel equipment, which they're able to take pictures underwater, and at the end of the experience, at the end of the tour activity, they're able to take them with to keep them. islands, most of the time activities, when you're talking activities, events wise, we're always like, I will say 90% outdoor, because we have, if we would have like a 2% of rain on a yearly basis, that will be a lot. So we don't have a lot of rain. We're very desert and type of islands. We're very dry. So that makes us a good option to do a lot of activities and events outdoors. So we have very nice things from small venues up to bigger venues. We can have a cocktail reception, a intimate dinner at the house of the Dutch governor, up to a villa, or at the golf course overlooking the water from the Atlantic Ocean. And of course, we have a lot of different nationalities on the island, so it creates a very nice balance between that cultural background and where we're moving. So you will see very nice combination, the steel band, live band, so you will see combinations of steel band with a guitarist, with a saxophonist, so those mixtures, you will see them a lot when you're hosting events into both destinations. We have a very good airlift from the States. All the major airlines are flying from the States into Aruba, Curacao. Aruba provides you, when you're leaving the island, with a U.S. You will clear customs immigrations on the island, so that is a very nice benefit for travel airline companies to gather to capture more flights into the island, and also a very nice thing when you have to connect, for example, in Miami, Atlanta, or New York. I would say we have a bigger presentation, so if you're interested, just contact us. We are more than happy to send you additional pictures, additional information, and we are looking forward in the near future to provide you or assist you with any RFP you have for the Caribbean.
Thank you, Sergino. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank Tico Destination Management Services Aruba Curacao for your continued support. Now we're going to move on to ROI. We're going to talk about the RFP revision and the contracts. So part two with ROI, we're going to start with the RFP revision. It's up front. What are some of the pitfalls that meeting planners do when they source before they're getting ready to buy, Mike Beal?
I fully understand the question. When you mean when they get request proposal information from us way in advance? Well, just speaking, options that I offer are good for 30 days. On the one hand, if it's far enough in advance for 2018 or 2019, we can probably extend the option. But a mistake that we make is not noting the option or disregarding the option back 4 or 5 months later with the proposal and saying, we're ready to do some business. And at that point, if the space isn't gone, it's expired, and then I have to go back to the management group and see what provides the same rates, conditions, et cetera. And in some cases, depending on demand, they won't. So I think I speak on behalf of Julia and Freddie both, that when you option on a proposal, pay attention to the option, because we need to know something on or before that date, or that proposal will no longer be valid.
Fred, some of the misconceptions of offering programs on board a cruise.
I think Mike can spend maybe 2 hours on this topic alone, as far as overall misconceptions. Between Mike and I, we actually, offered several different experiences, anywhere from amazing rivers that Mike represents on his numerous lines that he does, to, the blue waters that I represent. Some of the misconceptions is that there's not enough to do, that there's no more connectivity once you jump on board a ship. It's more of a sleepy town where everybody's in bed by 9 o'clock because they're pushing 65 to 7 years old. And some of those things that have changed throughout the years, and things we overcome with both what Mike and I offer, from the full ship charters, that obviously you can set up your own atmosphere and your own experience to nowadays ships, their number one competitors is still resorts. So these are being modified and upgraded depending on the brand every 18 to 24 months, or not, to provide, the latest and greatest entertainment. Connectivity is getting faster and less expensive. Our restaurants are being offered now on board some of these ships. So you're experiencing the same cuisine that you might experience in, a 4- or 5-star resort land-based. Some have taken some time to overcome, and there's still always the being trapped, and we kind of sometimes want to change that. It's not a matter of being trapped. Really, it's a little bit more of a controlled environment. Ships are offering now more of a guest-to-space ratio than ever before, but the luxury that you can experience aboard a ship cannot be duplicated in a resort. Plus, also for safety and security reasons, what offered on board a ship cannot be duplicated in a land resort.
Can I add something to the interview? Now, Freddie makes me remind that also to address that airlines are 100% attached to a destination. So in perspective, there is conceptions about a destination, and if a destination is falling for some reason, the airline needs to jump in somehow. It looks weird, but this is so funny. That's the reason why we always want to partner with the tourism bureau from different destinations, and we want to really make activities with them, go to their destinations, because at the end of the story, who is doing the fun trips? The airline. There's no flights. But when people ask the client, oh, where do you like to go? Oh, yes, I want to go to Aruba. Yes, great destination. And how are you going to get there? So all the competitors are coming on board. All the that fly to Aruba or Panama or Colombia, they will jump in and say, pick me, right? So is the misconception of people that when they say something about the destination, we need to be there. So my advice for all the planners is always ask your airline representative, because no one else knows that. Because the tourism bureau representative is always in the destination. They know everything about the destination, and they are always in contact with the airline. So if I don't know an answer, I will right away go to the tourism bureau, because I have the contacts. We are updated with the people that they work, even the government change, because it's a government job, so as well. But airlines, they are obligated to know who are the contacts, the main person in that destination, and handle the destination to give the best information. So whatever thing when you think that something goes wrong, please your airline representative. The airline representatives, they always know someone in that destination. Thank you.
And identify and handle potential logistics problems from client requests. Size versus venue selection, group block, special transportation. Just transportation's a perfect example. Cruise lines, you're going to fly, and then you're going to need transfers to the ship, and you guys are on real rigid time constraints. Give us an idea how you identify and handle potential problems for us.
I'll go first.
Okay.
I'll go.
Yes.
And Freddie, I'm sure you can tag on to what I'm going to say. And this actually leads me to something that I wanted to earlier. When it comes to cruising, we're talking about incentive groups, or in the case of the Freddie ships and the small ships that I work with, incentive or full ship exclusive charters. When a client is going to take over an entire ship for their program, in many ways the world is their oyster. The amount of customization, the exclusivity. No hotel in the world is going to close all of their facilities, even with 1,000 rooms. So, life on in that hotel, even with your group there. On board, it's quite different. If you have the logistics issues are all dealt with prior to boarding and the program operation. Now, when it comes, which we also invite, clients have to remember that they don't get the same degree of customization or specialization group sailing as they do on a charter. And the reason because we have those troublesome other guests that are on board that expect their full cruise experience as well. Now, we can work through these issues and create spaces for private events and transfers and that sort of thing. But it's important that the amount of exclusivity we can offer with charters is unparalleled. And I'll let Freddie jump in. I didn't really get into the transportation, but we can transportation or they can use their local DMCs.
All right. I'll take this answer in two steps. One, just with the transportation. On full ship charters, especially in the size of ships that Mike offers and some of the ones that I offer, when it's an exclusive charter, again, going back to as far as flexibility, we just keep that open dialogue. If you have a flight, of course it wouldn't be a Copa that's going to be delayed, but let's say another airline that has a delayed flight or whatever, then we have that conversation. Can delay ship? In a delayed ship, what is ramifications? Meaning, cost-wise, that we arrive late to the port that day, et cetera, et cetera. So those are just really open conversations. It is no different than if you have an outside location that you're going to have problems with inclement weather, that you just have a conversation on what's plan B, and together to try and solve this. Now, if it was a group versus charter, yes, we have to try and stick to our schedule as much as possible. Mentioned, we do have the other guests that we need to add to, but there's been cases where the flight that is delayed that has your executives might have guests of our own on board that ship, and then we, as an organization, decide what to do with the delay. And we airlines, here, and we see, do we get them to the next port of call? So not necessarily the trip is completely, washed away. We just try and see if we get them to the next port of call. 6, when it comes to customization, the second part of this answer, it's a matter of being creative, having open dialogue, what's really important and what's not. These ships are beautifully appointed, so no DMC is really needed to come in and redecorate, the beautiful restaurants or the different lounges. But when full ship charters, my thought process and what I always say is just ship the same way I gave it to you. You want to go change out carpet, you want to go paint, you want to change the schemes, just again bring it back the same way I gave it to you. How endless the opportunities for are.
Pretty well, Freddie. Pretty well said. Okay, to our distinguished panel, we're about to take a break, and we're going to talk about creativity, tricks, and tips. Panel, while we're hearing from our next sponsor, I want you to think about how you're going to include concessions and the discussion about concessions within that creativity and tips, where you make us look good and we all look good to the client. So right now, we're going to take a quick break as we hear from our final sponsor for this webinar, which is Hello Destination Management. much to Hello Destination Management. And now we're going to wrap up our webinar with talking about creativity, tricks, and tips. So tricks and tips create win-win scenarios for cruise lines, for airlines, and for planners. So, Mike, can you address some tricks and tips real quickly and give us an idea along concession lines that you see as a real good trend?
I'd be glad to. And I would say that my $1 million tip or trick is to offer cruises to your clients. Even if they haven't specifically requested a cruise, if they've requested a destination, there's likely a cruise. Whether it's a blue water cruise, a river cruise, a yacht cruise, an expedition cruise, there's a ship and a ship size and a luxury level that fits almost everyone. And I don't think a lot of clients, in fact, a lot of planners realize how many different types of cruise experiences there are. We can do amazing things in multiple destinations where your clients only have to unpack and pack once during the entire trip that can go from 3 to generally 7 nights. The onboard experiences that can be created, the customization of cocktail napkins and banners and menus and flags and the personalization that we're able to offer really in all size cruise offerings. And remembering that the value, when you look included with cruising, as Freddie mentioned earlier, and it varies from cruise line to cruise line, the value is really unmatched. So it's an easy way to a destination. Your client may not have been thinking about it. They may say, well, you know, I don't like cruises. But if you dig a little deeper, they may not like cruises because they went on a cruise 20 years ago, or they went on a cruise with 5,000 people. Everybody has their sweet spot when it comes to cruising. And if they haven't experienced or aware of the different options, I think that it's a good idea for the planners to bring up, because I'll just close by saying, you know, it's a big place, but for us it's not. And as the years go by and as the incentive market and the clients mature and develop, everybody's looking for what's new. And I offer that it's the planner's obligation to provide what's new. The client doesn't always know the different. They know that there's hotels all around the world. They know that there's resorts, but they might have thought of cruising. So tip one.
Go ahead, Mike. Julie,
Go ahead.
what can you say to us about creative and concessions on airlines?
Well, okay, so I will say, is this it's not about the tricks, the tips and tricks?
I didn't have the concessions. I dodged that one.
It's combined.
Oh, okay, so you will say, because I was so, you know, concentrated on what he was saying. Okay, so I will say first, explore of the destination. I said that before, but it's important to know when you offer as a plan, the client could tell you, find out for me about these 5 destinations. Explore, learn as much as you can. Of course, it's a big destination, but not about it. About the guidelines and policies to get to that destination. How? Talking to a sales representative or account manager of the airline, and groups, and every single detail that it may work for you, it will make your life easier at the end. Because I address problems every single day. The memos that everybody's getting memos, or bad customer service, and how are you going to address this? You need to be in contact with your sales representative for that. And we can manage all those problems. If from the beginning, the plan is in contact with the sales and or the person who is assigned to that project, keep with that person for everything. Also, make a list of questions for your airline account manager to take advantage of that meeting. When you have a meeting, take advantage of that person. Squeeze all the information that you get. So if I'm a planner, I will make a list of 20 or 25 questions because the airline representative is here for me and I'm here for my client. And at the end, we all win. Because for the airline, if the plan success is our success. So your success is ours too. So make sure that you ask all the questions necessary from the beginning until the end about the destination and all that you can get, all the benefits, what I can get, what else. So we have many, many things that sometimes planners don't even ask, and we just go along and we just work program because we have many clients, and I think it's important to have that communication, and it's good information. Thank
you very much.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Thank you, Julietta. And Ali Sikori, if you will send us a note on the questionnaire that you're still on the line, we will put you in touch with Julietta, who's going to give you 2 tickets to Panama. Ali Sikori with ITA, please tell us you're on the line by going to the question box. Freddie, take a minute and wrap up concessions and creativity for us.
Of also what Mike said, you know, cruise options have not always been on the top of the radar, but with a cruise option into the mix shows your creativity, and we necessarily win that business on that particular program, but that the meeting planner will win the business from that new prospect client or existing client because you showed the creativity of offering a cruise option. Also, don't hesitate to ask someone like Mike or myself to come to a presentation or assist you in that presentation. We're not there to be the only option, but be there, be a specialist when it comes to the presentation of a cruise option. Person loves cruising at the end of the day because there's no hidden cost in a cruise.
Well, thank you so much, Freddie. Thank you, Julietta. Thank you, Mike. It's been a wonderful panel. We've used up our hour, and Allie, by the way, won, so congratulations, Allie. I would also like to take a moment to thank Susan Hankins from my staff. Control room with 4 computers, keyboards, and sound to bring this to you, and personal work on her part, so I want to give her credit for that. Everyone else, thank you for this. We'll be doing another webinar next month, and you'll get information from it. And we look forward to your suggestions on what type of education can Site Midwest provide you to make you more relevant to your company and more relevant to your customer. So, thank you much, and let's again. Site Midwest USA. Bye.
Everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.